Hey there everybody, Travis Bowman here. I'm a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd. Can you believe that we're on episode 4 of Video Game Pickups? I'm finding it hard to believe myself because I don't really get a whole bunch of stuff really that often, but I did get some stuff presented to me this time, which is the key word for this episode, and the theme of this episode is that opportunities happened, and I didn't exactly just go out and buy a bunch of this stuff, but I got it through other circumstances, so we'll talk about that as we go along in this video. We've got a nice variety. There's not a lot of stuff on the table compared to some of the other episodes, but I think the theme for this one is definitely going to be quality over quantity because there's a lot of good stuff here. And admittedly a couple of turds, but we'll get to those here in a second. So let's talk opportunities. Long story short, I'm a guitar teacher. That's what I do for my day job. I've been doing it for a very long time now. It's a lot of fun. This job is really a people person type occupation, I guess you could say, because you meet new people all the time that are coming to you for help with learning an instrument, but you also really get to know the person that is taking lessons from you. And I got to know a gentleman named Blake who's been taking lessons from me for quite a while now, but he's a retro video game nerd just like myself, a huge fan of Final Fantasy. He's got this really sick Fender Stratocaster guitar that is based on, I think, Final Fantasy 14. I hope it's 14. I'll put up a picture of what this guitar looks like. It's a very, very cool limited edition guitar, so you know this dude is super into Final Fantasy if he's got a limited edition Final Fantasy guitar. Long story short, he told me one day during the lesson that he's got an attic full of his old childhood video games that he doesn't exactly want anymore, and he wants to know if I can help him move some of that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'll do you one better. I'll help you move all the stuff that you don't want, but I would like to go through it and see what you got, and maybe we could work something out where we can trade some lessons in exchange for some of your stuff. And he was all on board for that, and that's exactly what we did. Most of the stuff I took and sold for him as he wanted me to do, but some of the stuff I got to keep. Namely, this Game Boy printer right here. I had never seen one in person before. I don't know if they're just rare or what, but I had never gotten my hands on this kind of thing before, and this was in really, really great shape. It still has paper in it, and I do have a Game Boy, original Game Boy, that I'm meaning to do some modifications on, so I figured this would make a really cool collector's item to go with that if I ever put it on display once I actually get all that work done, which I plan on doing at some point eventually, but it was just really cool to see. And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to keep that. That's pretty cool too. Blake had a couple of N64s and a Super Nintendo, which to my surprise was functioning just fine. In my experience, I don't know if it's just me with Super Nintendos being a Sega guy or what, but the Super Nintendos that I've always gotten my hands on for a good price have always been not good. You know, they are not good. The CPUs are worn out and they just don't function anymore. There's something wrong with the video port, something like that. But his was in an attic for probably over 20 years and it was working just fine, which just blew my mind completely. But he had a bunch of Super Nintendo games which I sold to a good buddy of mine named the Arkansas Picker. I did the theme song for his YouTube channel. He's a YouTuber local right down the street from me. He's been doing it for a long time too. But I kept this one, Mortal Kombat 2, not because I'm a super big fan of Mortal Kombat or anything, but because this particular cartridge is going to be really difficult to sell. Because at some point in this cartridge's lifetime, somebody opened it up and took the Mortal Kombat 2 board out of it and put in Lemmings. For some reason, dude. I have no idea why. Especially because both games aren't particularly valuable or desirable to my knowledge. But I can't really sell it like this, so I guess I'll just keep it as an oddity for some reason. Next on the list is Lethal Enforcers for the Super Nintendo. Now, I've played this game with the light gun on the Sega CD, but I've never played it on the Super Nintendo before, and of course he had the light gun that works with the Super Nintendo. So I kind of had to get this because it matches mine for the Sega CD. It's a really cool piece of gaming history, and I'm super glad to have it and put it in my granny cabinet back there with all the other light guns, so I'm really excited to check it out and maybe even compare and contrast Lethal Enforcers on both systems, on the Super Nintendo and, of course, the Sega CD. The other sub-theme of this episode would probably be taking things and completing them, finding parts of things and making them whole again, aka that wonderful three-letter term CIB, complete in box. First up on that list is Gauntlet Dark Legacy for the original Xbox, arguably the best version of this game, the best port of this game. Some would say that it's the Nintendo GameCube version. PS2 is obviously the weaker because of that interlacing. It doesn't look very good. but I found this at my local Game Exchange, which is a video game store chain here in Central Arkansas. Pretty much the Midwest and the South, I'm pretty sure, is where Game Exchange is really located. But I found this, and I was curious about purchasing it, and I brought it up to the front desk, and the dude said, yeah, man, you just missed the guy that came in here and bought that disc, because we were looking for the case and we couldn't find it. And that makes perfect sense, because I actually found this in the Xbox 360 section. So some dude in there came in the store knowing that he wanted to buy Gauntlet Dark Legacy, and he probably asked the guys at the front desk, do you have it? They checked their system and they did. They couldn't find it because it was in the wrong section, but they still had the disc behind the counter, and that's what they sold him. So the dude bought the disc at full price, at complete in box price, which is insane. But I go in that store all the time, and I'm on pretty good terms with the guy behind the counter, and he was like, yeah, I know you're a collector, so why don't you just take it, because we can't really sell it as it is. And I was like, hell yeah, sounds good to me. So I waited a little while. I kept looking on eBay to find the disc, and of course, eventually I did for a pretty decent price. So now I have a complete in-box copy of Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Really, really cool game. I really can't wait to sit down with my girlfriend, Emily, so she can help me beat this sucker. That's definitely one that we want to put on the list of stuff that we're going to play together. And if you haven't played this with a friend before, Gauntlet Legends is a fun game too, but this one's arguably probably the better version because of all the extra content and all that other good stuff that's in this game compared to Legends. But Gauntlet Dark Legacy, super happy to finally add that one to my Xbox collection, which admittedly is growing. Before we move on to the obvious retro stuff in this pile, I figured we'd get the newer stuff out of the way. I picked up a copy of Chivalry 2 for the PlayStation 4. This is a game that my buddies and I play quite frequently. It's one of the funnest multiplayer games where we beat the crap out of each other that I've ever played before. You know, I've had it on my PlayStation 5 for a very, very long time, but that's because it came with PlayStation Plus or whatever a long time ago. And of course, I bought it on my PC as well. But, you know, because I love it so much and it's such a wonderful memory of all my friends, you know, constantly playing this game together, I wanted to get a physical copy of it, so I found it for a couple of bucks, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I like Chivalry 2 that much that I want to own it a second time, I guess, because I bought it on PC. I'm essentially renting it from the PlayStation Store with that online subscription fee. Next on the list is the Dark Souls Trilogy for the PlayStation 4. I bought this brand new on Amazon, I believe. It was on sale. This is like a $40 package right here, and I think it was on sale for like 32 bucks or something like that with shipping, so that's not bad at all. You got all three Dark Souls games, Dark Souls Remastered, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3, and you get all of the DLC with all the original soundtracks in one big ass package, which I was really attracted to. I've never played Dark Souls 2 or 3, but I did spend a lot of time playing the Dark Souls Remastered when I was in Dubai on the Nintendo Switch, and it's a night and day difference playing this on a home console such as the PlayStation 5 compared to a handheld like the Nintendo Switch. But still, really happy to grab that. I don't know if this is going to be desirable in the future because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of these floating around. You can still buy it on Amazon, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out for yourself, as well as all these other games that are probably on Amazon as well. But still, it looks great on a shelf. What a legendary game series that Dark Souls is. I still need to get into the second and the third game, but I want to beat the first game first, and I think I will probably sometime, hopefully pretty soon. Next on the list is a PlayStation 5 game called Starship Troopers Extermination. My buddy Chance was really, really raving about this game about a year ago or so, and I think at the time it was like a $30 game, but I didn't want to pull the trigger on it because I guess I'm just cheap like that. You know, I like doing stuff like this. You know, finding decent deals on games when I can because I'm in no rush to play them. I've got the rest of my life to play video games, even though I am at the ripe old age of 32. So despite all that, I actually found Starship Troopers Extermination on the PlayStation 5 through a Facebook page that I've been following for quite some time called Cheap Ass Gamer. So how that works, there's probably some guy that runs that page, and all he does is he takes, you know, Amazon or, you know, Target listings or Best Buy, anytime that they run a huge sale on video games anywhere on the internet, he kind of posts a link about it, and I'm pretty sure he's got some affiliate links too, so that's how he, you know, stays in business, so to speak. But that's how I found this. This was like $12, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I know about that game, I've heard about that game, and I do want to check it out. And 12 bucks is a damn good price for a brand new PlayStation 5 game. I've played a little bit of it, honestly. It needs a lot of work. I don't know if they've abandoned it or what, but from what I've read online, there are a lot of negative reviews about this because of the way that it's really buggy, no pun intended. You spend pretty much all of your time in this game shooting and killing giant bugs. But there was a giant update as of recent, and I'm going to pop this back in the PlayStation 5 and check it out. Hopefully my buddy Chance will join me on that endeavor as well, so we can finally play that one together. And last on the list is Split Fiction. I got this day one when it came out because my girlfriend Emily and I played through It Takes Two, same developer, Hazelight. It was a wonderful experience. We beat this game together. It was a wonderful time. It was challenging. I don't believe there's any difficulty settings whatsoever. It is what it is. It's a game that you can try to beat with your friend or your significant other, and that's exactly what we did. We made some great memories, so I'm happy to have this physically instead of, you know, just buying it digitally. And it was a great game. I really highly recommend this one. Now we're moving on to the best of the bunch here, in my opinion anyway. So I just got back from the Arkansas Retro Expo, which is an expo that's fairly new here in central Arkansas. It was in Hot Springs. The last time I went to one of these expos in Hot Springs, the Arkansas Retro Expo, I came home with the Steel Battalion controller. I went mostly this time to shoot footage for a video that is either out right now or is coming out very soon. But the theme for that Arkansas Retro Expo was that everybody was kind of high on their asking prices. And, you know, that's no problem. I enjoy haggling. In fact, I make it a point to do sometimes just because I find it fun to, you know, barter with people. It's one of the oldest techniques of being a human of all time, and I like to exercise that skill if I can. You know, let's have a conversation. Are you willing to come down on your price? And always be respectful, all that good stuff. But I found that very difficult to do at this expo just because the prices were like way up here. So much so that if I were to cite price charting, aka the website that everyone uses to find out the value of your video games and the fluctuating prices, whether or not it goes sky high or rock bottom, that's the website to use. But what I'm getting at is at this expo, the thing that I noticed the most about these vendors, most of which who are my friends that I see quite a bit, is that their prices were just a little too high. More so than I thought they would be, actually. So I was out to find a very specific game for the Sega Genesis, being a collector-ish of the Sega Genesis. There's no way I'm going to be able to have a large collection because prices have gone just way up. But I can still achieve mini collections, like, for example, the Streets of Rage collection on the Genesis. I've gotten all 3 of those games, and I'm really happy with mini collection stuff like that. It just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside to collect an entire series on a console, and I think that's a really cool thing to achieve. That's also a very obtainable goal for the most part, unless you're talking Pokemon stuff. But anyway, so I'll just go ahead and reveal what it is. It's Sonic and Knuckles for the Sega Genesis. Now, I found this game twice at the Arkansas Retro Expo. One guy wanted $90 for it, and the other guy wanted $109 for it. At the time that I'm making this video, price charting has it at $81 complete, which, you know, I could have haggled with the $90 guy, but I don't see any point when I could have found it somewhere else, and that's exactly what I did. I found this on eBay, and keep in mind, this is a really beat up box. It's not in great shape. This is a cardboard box. A few Sega Genesis games had cardboard boxes, and then they have not really held up over time for the most part. But I could have haggled with the guys at the Arkansas Retro Expo, but, you know, looking on eBay just for a brief moment while I was at the expo, I was like, I know I can get this a hell of a lot cheaper. Even if I were to haggle and try to knock $5–10 off at this expo, I could probably get it a lot cheaper, and of course I did. I made an offer on this, which was set at $75, ended up paying $58 shipped for a complete in-box copy of Sonic and Knuckles. And, you know, it's not in the best shape, of course, but, you know, to be fair, neither were the 2 copies that were at the expo. They were in similar shape, if not worse. So I'm really happy to finally complete my Sonic the Hedgehog collection for the Sega Genesis. And yeah, I don't have Sonic Spinball, and I don't have Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, and I'm pretty sure that's it for the Sonic games on the Genesis. But I do have Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and now Sonic and Knuckles. Those are the 4 games that I really give a crap about, and I'm happy to complete that very small subset collection for the Sega Genesis. Now we've got some N64 games complete in the box. I did not mean for this to happen, but you can thank Blake for that, my buddy that I mentioned earlier in this video. He had a couple of boxes of some stuff that he was trying to move out of his video game collection, and I was really surprised to see him. In-box N64 games that have been in an attic for a very, very long time. That's actually kind of cool. So we'll start with this one right here. This is a really beat-up box, and it's going to be hard to tell because I've got it in these little protective cases here. But this is Rayman 2, a game that I really grew up with on the original PlayStation. This is a green cartridge, which is kind of rare. You don't see it all the time for N64 games. Usually they're either just gray or gold or sometimes black, like Turok Rage Wars, I believe. And Turok 2, there's some versions of that have a black cartridge. But this is a green cartridge inside of this, which I thought was really interesting. He had everything. He had the box, which was like flattened out. I really had to do some work on it to get it back together and fit in this protective case. But the good news about these protective cases is that once they're in there, they should hold that shape. I'm going to keep it in there for a very, very long time before I take it out again, which is great. But just to have all of that complete in box, I was like, you know, I've got a couple of N64 games in complete in box. This is a nice addition to that. I have fond memories of this game, so I'm going to keep it. Yeah, I actually do like Rayman 2 quite a bit. Got a lot of good memories from my childhood playing this game on the original PlayStation, so happy to add that one. Next one is a big one. Super Mario 64 complete in the box. So I already had the cartridge, and what I got from Blake was the manual. And I was like, I guess I have to complete it now. Considering that I've got 2 out of the 3 pieces. And, you know, I know complete in box can mean a lot of different things depending on who you are and what your personal definition of it is. I think the actual legitimate definition is everything that came in the box when it was brand spanking new. I don't have all that, but what I do have is the manual, and I think the registration card or whatever it is, and the cartridge. And that's good enough for me. That's complete in box in my book, is the manual and the cartridge in the box. I want the box to look at, I want the manual to read through in case I need to learn something about the game, and I want the cartridge, of course, because I want to play the damn thing. So, Super Mario 64, not a game that I grew up with, and if you'll watch my live stream for my 6,000 subscriber special, you'll see me actually playing through this and attempting to do good in the game, and I suck at this game so freaking bad, and I can't tell you why, because it's not an overly challenging game. It's just not one that I grew up playing a whole bunch. You know, I was into Castlevania 64 and Hybrid Heaven when people were playing this game, and also Turok 2, and a couple of other games on the N64, but still, it's a piece of gaming history. It's one of the most influential video games ever made, and people still talk about it to this day, so I'm super glad to have this in my game room as a piece of gaming history. So that's really, really cool too.
Why do you do this? Why do you do this? Why won't he just stand? Just stand. Stand. Just stand. Stand up.
Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So again, from Blake, I got the cartridge, but no manual and no box. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try to complete this too as cheaply as I can. Now, at the Arkansas Retro Expo, I did find a copy of this game that was complete in box. I think it was 140 bucks. I didn't want to spend that much money. So I found a manual in decent condition for like 10 bucks on eBay, and then I found this box. Unfortunately, the box is just a hair sun-faded on the front. You can see on that lettering for Zelda, it's supposed to be really bright red. It's really, really faded, and the red is even kind of coming off a little bit, which is a damn shame, but you know what? I don't care that much. I just wanted to complete it, just to say that I did, and to have it in my collection, and I sure did. The cartridge is fine, everything works just fine. It's a really, really important game for that time period, and I never played through it, but I really do want to. I would much rather play through a game like this than Super Mario 64, I think. So this is definitely going to be on my list, probably for live streaming coming up very soon. I do a live stream every Sunday night, and I think this is going to be a good contender for next week's live stream, so I hope you guys check that out. The coolest game that I got in this whole endeavor with Blake and in the last couple months, it's been a couple months since I did a video like this, but The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask Collector's Edition. Hell yeah. So this was one I was really excited about when he sent me pictures of everything in this collection, this attic collection that he had. I noticed this box sitting there and I was like, ooh, that looks really, really cool. So he had 2 copies of Majora's Mask for some reason, 2 cartridges. And so I grabbed one cartridge, I sold the other one, and I kept the box. So all I needed was the manual. Again, it was another like 10 or 15 bucks on eBay. It wasn't that bad. And now I have a complete, depending on your definition, of course, complete copy of Majora's Mask. This is one that's kind of desirable. It's not super duper expensive, but it does get up there in price. I'm just stoked that I got 4 more Nintendo 64 games complete in box. This is not something that I strive for or that I'm trying to do actively, but like I said, man, opportunities, that's the theme of this video. If those opportunities are presented to me, I'm going to take them. And I love doing stuff like that. It's really difficult to do sometimes. I really enjoy taking parts of a video game, like the manual in the box, and the cartridge, or even the disc sometimes, and trying to hunt them down separately and put them together, because a lot of times it can be cheaper than buying it completed already, for the most part anyway. So I think it's a lot easier to do that with cartridge-based games, just because the cartridges last a lot longer and they're more durable, and you'll often find them in still working condition and great shape, unlike some of the disc-based games, which can be scratched and have disc rot and all that nasty stuff. I'm really surprised that I was able to put this Gauntlet Dark Legacy together. All I was missing was the disc, and I found a decent copy on eBay. So I'm really happy to be kind of a completionist in this video. But I'm a happy guy, man. I got 4 new N64 games that look great on the shelf next to the other ones that I collected because I just have great childhood memories of those. Do you have any specific memories of any of the games that I've showed you in this video today? If so, please let me know all about it in the comment section below. Let's start a discussion about maybe collecting in today's day and age and how you guys do it. Are you like me? Are you patient? Do you try to get things one piece at a time, or are you more straightforward and just say, okay, I'll just spend the money and get the game that I've had when I was a kid, and I'll embrace it and enjoy it and have those nostalgic memories once again? I don't care. I'll just go ahead and pay those prices and get the game. Either way, it's whatever you want to do, of course, but I would love to know your answers to all those questions and your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I've got a whole playlist with a bunch of other pickups if you guys want to check those videos out too. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I'll catch you guys at the next video. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.